Welcome to Navigating the File System, Chapter 7 for CSC 109. First, I just want to point out to you that if there's things that are being repeated in this presentation, it's from other ones. It's because I want to make sure that you know them in case you didn't watch previous presentations or you're just watching this one video. So don't be surprised by that. Also, just so you know what I have going on the screen, on the right-hand side over here, I have a Linux terminal from using Mint as my distribution choice, and I'm using PuTTY to access that. So that's what's going on the right-hand side of my screen. All right, before we even get really too far into anything, I think in one lovely world of the introduction, in the wonderful world of Linux, everything is just qualified as a file. Now, they might be different types of files, like we have directories, we have executable files, so there are some different types of files, but everything in the long run just comes back down to it being a file. And if you think about what a folder is, it's just a piece of paper with other papers inside of it, so directory to folder, in the long run, it really does, at least in my mind, make sense. Now, the directory structure for Linux is a little bit different than probably what you're used to with Windows. On Windows, we have My Computer up here at the top, or this is also be this PC in the wonderful Windows 10 version. All right, and then inside of My Computer, you have multiple things. Most importantly, you have this hard drive. That is going to be the most important part on your Windows computer. That's C drive. That's where your operating system, everything gets installed. You may, if you have a DVD drive, have one over here. All right, and if you notice that is your D drive. Then over here on the right, you've got E drive. So if you plug in a USB drive or something else, it will show up as a drive there. And inside all of those, you've got your folders. And on Windows, you're going to have a whole lot more folders than what you're seeing on this screen. But that's just kind of how the game works. It really just depends on how many folders you have and all of these things. If you had more on your DVD drive, you would see them just show up over here. Same thing on your flash drive, they just show up on the right. Now, how this is different from Linux, in Linux we have the root directory. Right, so everything falls under that slash, and then you can see all of our different folders, and you can see our subfolders going on here. So nothing too crazy in the world of folders that's going different. What is different is you don't see a DVD drive or a USB drive. All right, and that's because we have to actually mount them. We have to say, hey, you put this information that's on this basically into a specific folder, and normally the folder we use would be mount/mnt. All right, and that will be right there, as you can see I highlighted it. So when we would do that, we would actually say mount, and then it would come over here, and we would have a folder. And in this case, I just go with like DVD. All right, and then that would have its folders inside of it. And then if we had another one, that would be our USB drive. And if you're like me, mine has my initials or my name on them, so I'd just mount that as gob for my name. And then again, you'd have your folders there. So the nice thing here is with Linux is everything just looks like a folder. So you don't really know if it's a folder or a flash drive or a DVD drive or whatever it is that you're accessing files from or writing them to, or the network for that case. So it's all kind of streamlined. So it's really, really kind of nice and convenient to just have everything mounted to folders, and then you also get to pick where those folders are. It doesn't have to be specifically in My Computer, and it's going to be a different drive letter, and every time it's going to mount as a different drive, which you can, to some extent, specify those. But I just find Linux, that system of mounting inside a folder and picking where it goes, to make kind of much better in the long run. Now, we also have our home directory. All right, and this home is the location where your user files are stored. All right, and by default, that is almost always /home/your username. All right. So if we look at my terminal on the right, my username is right here before the @ sign, so that would be CSC 109. Right. So my home folder for Proxmox, or for my Mint installation on Proxmox server, would be /home/CSC 109. All right. So that's what it would be, and we can find that out if on here we would type echo, and we do $, HOME, all capitalized, and capitalization does matter. All right. So as you can see here, there it prints out my home directory. All right. I could also find that out by doing pwd, which would be my working directory, which we'll kind of come back to that one right there. All right, so it shows the working directory, which is the location that you are currently accessing files and things like that from. All right. So this is your home directory. The other way you can tell you're in your home directory is right here, this little tilde. All right. That tells you that this is being referenced to your home directory. All right. If we were to change that directory, which we will in a minute, you'll see how that's going to change. So we'll come back to that one. I do like to point out that I did this money sign home, all right, and that money sign is telling the Linux system that this is a variable name. So when it looked up my variable name for home, it said, oh, you're this user, so that means this is your home directory. If we were a different user, it would show me something different for my home directory, and I did that echo home. Or if I was logged in as someone different, so my PWD here, it would print me somewhere else. And again, you'll see that when I change directories, how that PWD changes with us. All right. So that is our home. And the nice thing here with your home directory is, in theory, only you and the administration people on the computer have access to your home directory. So it is, in theory, secured from everybody else. That is, for your benefit. That's really what it comes down to. Now, depending on how you're using the Linux system, that can be a pain, because you're like, well, I need to access something in Bob's system, but he hasn't, not Bob. Well, you can set up some sharing and things and group access and stuff like that. So there are some kind of ways around that, and we will come back to talking about permissions in a little bit. Now, to change directories, the big key here is CD. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clear off my screen, which is CLEAR. All right. Anyway, so we're going to CD, and we're going to change to our documents folder. So little case CD and DOC, and then I'm going to hit Tab, which will fill in the rest of the documents. The Tab button kind of fills out the rest of that command for you, which is super helpful. That only works if there's only one command. So if I would type do and I hit Tab, it'll let me listen. There's that beeping noise, and it's like, hey, something's wrong. There's more information here. If I hit Tab again, it will actually show me all the options that go with what I have typed so far. So if you notice, capital D, lowercase o, boom right there, boom right there. All right, so it's like, hey, these are your two options. Which one do you want? And as soon as I now add that C to this and I hit Tab, it will automatically fill it in, because there's only that one singular option there. So definitely a really good, that Tab button is really functional when it comes to these things. So what I'm doing right now is called a relative path. So I want to change the documents folder that is in the folder I'm currently in. So I do CD documents, and I pop out. And again, you can see how this is right before the $ changed here. So you can see we've got ~documents now. So it said I'm in this folder. There's a documents folder inside this. I can go to it. All right. Now, if I go back to where I was, which is, you can go back using, you can go back by doing CD _. All right, and that will take me back to where I was before I changed my directory. Now, if I want to use an absolute path, I need to first know where I am. So I'm going to do PWD, and that is that /home/CSC109. So I can do CD for change directory. I'm going to type that out, /home/CSC, and again, I'm using that tab to fill it all in for me. And now I want to go to documents. I'll do DOC again and tab, and now it fills it in. So that will take me to this folder no matter where I am on the Linux drive if I use that. And the reason it will work that way is because we're putting this / here in front of this. That's saying root directory, the home directory, the CSC109 directory, the documents directory. So by starting with this / here, it's assuming you're referencing an absolute path, which is the root directory. All right. If you up here, you notice there is no / in front of that D. So it's saying this is a relative path. And that is one of those really important, like ever so slight differences that's going to haunt you as you're typing commands out at some point, because you're like, I did this, I did that, and then all of a sudden it's, it means something slightly different when you have that / there or not there. All right. So we just went over that one shortcut, this .. right? And this is super handy in the long run for moving backwards. So if I would just again do CD .. it will take me back. Go back to documents. And if I go to the school directory that I have here, boom, all right. And let me put my working directory. There you go. You can see where I am right now. So this is the absolute path to get to the folder I'm located right now. All right. Now let's say, and if you notice over here in my picture, I've got a school folder instead of documents folder, and I want to go to downloads. All right. So you can actually move backwards multiple steps at a time. So I can do CD /, /, .. All right, so if I did that, that'd be 2 steps back. All right, so step 1 takes me from school into documents. Step 2 takes me from documents into, this will be system admin, but let's go ahead and make that just my CSC109. All right, and now if I were to type something here, it would move me forward from here somewhere else. So let's go to this downloads folder. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add downloads to that. All right, when I hit enter, I've now moved from school to download. So it's not a direct path. All right, I also could have done this from the start again. If I do CD and I just put in this entire command right here, boom, now it shows me that I'm in document school now. So there are multiple ways to navigate forwards and backwards. All right. The other thing is if you just type CD and hit enter, it jumps you right back to your home directory. Notice we've got that little tilde again. So it said, okay, CD, you want to go home, and it just gets rid of all this and then jumps us to that home directory. So there's a lot of little variations that you can do to do this, to go from one point to another. And it's just a matter of coming up with what you're comfortable and getting used to do, typing these things out by hand. That CD ... I can't tell you how many times that I've done that and said, okay, what folders do I see? And I'm like, no, not what I want. I need to go back one more, and I'll just type, do it again. Right. Another quick hint that I haven't talked about in this video is the arrow keys. They will bring up your histories. So if I were to hit up, you can see how I'm just going through my last used commands. So the first one up is, according to this, is CD home, and if I go up again, it's that one. If I go up again, it's now BWD. So you can see how you can just quickly go through your history commands to kind of, again, like repeat something. That's especially convenient if you're doing the CD ... Like, oh, went back one, go back again. You can just kind of hit up and enter, and it'll just jump you back one more folder again, which I find to be very, very helpful. Now that we can move around from one directory to another, you also may want to be able to see what is going on in that folder that you're looking at. So we can use the ls command for that, or list. Right? And right now I am in the home directory, not the home directory, the root directory. Right? And again, how do you know? This little backslash right here. That is telling us what folder we are in. Notice we went from a tilde, and when we went back one too far, we went from the slash home, and went back again, we went straight to the slash, so right to that root directory. Right? The one thing that hopefully you noticed is we've got colors. We've got light blue, we've got dark blue, we've got kind of a white. All right, and they all mean different things. So the blue, that is a directory or folder. A green is an executable or a recognized data file. Cyan blue, this one, all right, that is a symbolic link file. A yellow with a black background, that's a device. Magenta or pink, that's a graphic image file. Red is an archive file, and red with a black background is a broken link. All right, so there's a lot of different colors here, and it's one of those things that as you use this more and you get used to it, you'll see all sorts of different things. All right, and the color is normally enabled by default, but you can also do add ls-color. ls-color. I can type to make sure that that color is on for that specific command. All right, so that can be very, very helpful. All right, now to go along with the ls command, there are a lot of options. And again, something that I haven't mentioned in this video, if you do man and then ls, it will bring up the manual for that command. This doesn't work with every command, but it works with most of them. I would say basically all of them. They're not quite there. But you can see, you can see all sorts of different things here, and we can go through all the different little things that we can add to them. Which to me is very useful, and Q will get you out of that, which is nice. And it actually did tell you that in the bottom corner down here. You can press H for help, or you can use Q to quit. So, very, very useful to be able to look up manuals for commands that you're not positive. But anyway, so to view hidden files, let's go ahead and clear this. All right. Look up, it said hidden files, that'd be ls -a, all right, and that is basically standing for all. Right? And how do you know what is hidden? And you know what, let's go home first, let's do this again there, make more sense. ls -a, all right. How do we know it's hidden? Well, anything that has this period in front of it, these are all hidden files. All right, notice that at least on this distribution, the periods, it ignores that when it's sorting them alphabetically. It doesn't put all the periods first and then it puts all of them alphabetically. No, it's alphabetically ignoring the period, which I think overall I find to be useful. But it's a little bit of give and take. It's a kind of overall personal preference thing. So to go along with that, you also have ls-l, all right, and that will list the long list. I have that in parentheses in there. All right, and it's telling you a lot of information. All right, and one of the bigger things that it's telling you is, file type information. All right, so if we were to break this down, the first piece here, which are basically all Ds, all right, that is your file type. Right? So we have D's for directories, a dash for regular file, an L for symbolic link, an S for socket, a P for pipe, a B for block file, and a C for character file. These are all things you can look up really easily if you missed all those, all right? Or look through the textbook, it's got them all written there. The next things following that, so everything not including this first letter here, this is all your permissions for the file. All right, now let's find three that are basically the same. Up here, all right. So the first three here, these RW dash, all right, that is your user permissions. So what the user has access to being able to do. The next three, the RW dash again, all right, that would be our group permissions. And then the last three, that would be everyone else, so E. All right, so user, group, everyone else, all right. And you have three options here, all right, overall. You have R for read, W for write, and X for execute, all right. And then you have the dash, so if they don't have that capability, all right. So you have those three capabilities for basically every file, all right. Next, and these are all exactly the same, all right, you have CSC 109 here. That is your user. So this column is your user. All right, and then the following column right after that is the group. All right, so what group does that folder belong to? So that'd be a good way to be able to share things. You could say, okay, this is the engineering group. All right, and all the engineers have access, to read write all the files in this directory, even though they might not have direct access as the user, but they could have access via the group. So really kind of handy for that for our permissions. Next, we have our hard link count. Oh, I skipped that. The hard link count is before our user and group, I'm sorry. So that's this 1, 2, 3. Those are our hard link count. This number indicates how many hard links point to this file. All right, next after our group, this is our file size. And then we have a timestamp with month, day, and time in hours and minutes. And then finally, the file name. All right. So there are, again, just a lot of information that you can get just by doing ls-l to look at these types of things. All right. Next, we've got human readable. I don't know about you, but right now, this file size doesn't mean a whole lot to me. All right. That is how many bytes of information it is, bytes. All right. 1 byte is 8 bits, and 1 byte normally holds 1 character. So being 588 bytes, that would be able to hold 1 letter, or 588 letters. So let's go ahead and clear this again. All right, so we can do ls space dash lh. We're adding that h for human readable. All right, and notice it now puts prefixes, so that we've got k's on front of this. All right, you can also do m's and gigs and things like that. But the whole point there is to make it more easy for you and I to understand. All right, next we've got the dash for cursive option. All right, and this is going to show you all the files that are in those folders, as in the folder you're in, plus all the files inside those folders, plus all the files inside those folders. So if you want to see, like, just list every file in the system, if we would cd to the root directory, and we would do ls space dash r, and this is going to be a bad idea, but let's do it anyway. All right, and it lists, and it lists, and it lists, and it lists. So it's just listing out every folder and every file in every folder as on this system. So there is a lot going on there. Really, overall, does make a lot of sense. So there's a lot going on. Let's go ahead and get out of that. So let's do that over on the file that we are currently in. So ls-r. Oh, I forgot that I'm still there. So cd ls-r. Boom, there we go. So right when I did that, let's clear this again. Let's do it one more time. There we go. Scroll the top. So first it does, it says, hey, here are all the files in this folder. Right? And then said for the accounts folder, there's nothing. For the backups folder, hey, there's 1 file. For the backups copy, there's a file. In CSC 109 fall 23, here's a file of all those files that are in there. So it shows you that, and it does dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that. All right. So that can be very useful, but as you saw with doing it in your directory, that can also be a pain because it's listing so much information that just takes so long to run and print all that information out. So you do want to be a little bit careful to go along with that. And then last we got least is sorting. So if we do this, do ls-l again, just to put a space in the wrong spot. There we go. You can see right now that we are sorting alphabetically. Account 00, account 01, accounts 8, and all right. But what if you wanted to sort in some other way? If you didn't want to sort alphabetically, So we have the option to sort by file size, and that would be the -S. There we go. Oh, I should add the -ls. There we go. So now we're sorted by size. So didn't work how I expected it. Oh, capital S, right? Yep, capital S. There we go. All right. And then, yep, so you can see our biggest ones are first, all the way down to our smallest ones. All right. You can sort by date with a little t. All right. You can flip that by putting an R with it. So now instead of being oldest, newest to oldest, it's now oldest to newest. All right. Another option that you can do here is dash full-time. Full-time. All right, and that will give you add more information. It's the dash. More information, so you can now see it's year, month, day, hour, minute, second. So we now have years and seconds as well on that. So a lot of capability there when it comes to sorting and listing files and things. All right, that's the end of chapter 7. We'll be moving on to chapter 8, which is managing files and directories in the next video.